Should we start? What you
too. I really appreciate it. I know. So much. Yeah. Instead of like a.
This looks very good. This is choir singing.
Choirs?
Thank you all so much for that warm and uplifting music this morning after a day of gray and rain, and ushering in some beautiful sunlight into our service this morning. Thank you. Good morning, friends. Good morning. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Yay. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. My name is Lila Herndon-Vizard. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a very grateful member of our Board of Trustees. Today is Sunday, January 7th. Whether this is your first time joining us, if you are returning after years away, or this is your regular Sunday destination, we are so glad you are here. UUCA is a church of radical love and acceptance. We are a community of all backgrounds, races, genders, sexual orientations, abilities and disabilities, both seen and unseen. And we welcome you to bring your whole self into this community. At UUCA, we encourage everyone to come for community, find inspiration, and live with purpose. With the start of our new year, there is so much going on here at UUCA, especially for our newcomers. So if you are not currently on our distribution list, you may sign up at the welcome desk and keep an eye out for your emails. I also want to highlight next weekend, and you all have the flyer in your orders of service for all of the amazing programming going on for 2024's MLK weekend. In addition to our Sunday service and some great uplifting and interesting and engaging opportunities on Saturday, you can also sign up with the very handy QR code for the day off on Monday. So please take a look, and I hope everyone will join us. Also today in particular, maybe take some time to meet our ministers after the service. They will be hanging out at a table in Fellowship Hall right behind us as you exit the sanctuary. So please come by and say hello. And as always, because we are Unitarian Universalists, we are all invited for coffee and conversation, both in Fellowship Hall and in Reeb Hall to the left as you exit after the service. So I hope to see you there. Take a deep breath and let us come together as we worship.
Lila, thank you so much for that lovely welcome. And Iris Piano Trio, thank you for the beautiful music. There is more to come. A shout out to Alan and Gerda Kieswetter, who actually connected us with Iris Piano Trio. And of course to Jen, our interim music director, who's been working with them and creating the music. Jen is part of our worship team today, as is the trio, and as am I. My name's Reverend Amanda Poppy. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm honored to serve as senior minister here at UUCA. I am joined on the chancel this morning by my colleague,
partner
fellow
in crime,
mischief maker, there you go, Reverend Carol Thomas Sissel, or Rev CTC, who is our Minister of Social Justice and Community Development. And also part of our worship team is Cameron, and I can't tell if it's Art or Wesley. It's Wesley on AV and Tech, our ushers and our greeters, our coffee makers, our teachers downstairs, and all of you coming together to create our community this morning. So I want to invite you in this moment. If you are watching online, say hello in the chat. Let people know that they're watching with you and that you are connecting across the miles. If you are here in the sanctuary, say hello to each other, especially to someone that you haven't met before. Hello, I've met you, but I still say hello. Friends, it is good indeed to be together. I want to invite you now to be slightly less friendly and re-find your seats and to bring that energy of connection and care and welcome into our coffee hour, our fellowship time that follows our service. Our call to worship this morning comes from Reverend Gretchen Haley, who serves in Colorado, and it invites us into our month-long exploration this January of liberating love. For this one moment, know only that you are loved, that you are safe and whole and loved. Know that you belong here, here among us, here upon this earth, in your body, however tired or broken your heart may be. Whatever fear, disappointment, anger you carry, for this hour, know that you are not alone. Feel the presence of others surrounding you, breathing beside you and with you, discovering together the way our voices rise and fall together in harmony, in hope. Claim here a resilient freedom, the choice for love, for light, to live with joy and gratitude and praise as a form of resistance. Already, we are organizing. Come, let us worship together.
One of our traditions here is to light a candle of compassion. As we welcome this new year in and we greet each other, let's move compassionately into the year, holding those who are affected by war on our hearts, remembering anyone who's been affected by violence, whether they were a victim or a family member of a victim. And last but not least, compassionately remember Mother Earth. Our planet is in peril, and we are the people that can make that better. I light this candle of compassion for those things. And I move forward and we will light our chalice together. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. Please join me. The words are in your order of service. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and warmth to the world.
All right. Now we invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in our opening hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks.
Thank you so much. We have a story to tell today, and I am going to need some people to help me tell it. Now, here's the thing. I actually have printed out lines for you, so I'm going to need people that can read. People of any age that can read. So if you would like to help me tell the story, I think, Rev CTC, will you help me tell the story? Whew, that's really good. If somebody else would like to help me tell the story, come right on up. I think that you are looking especially, how do you feel about like a bunch of lines? Do you feel pretty good about that? Yeah, you look very much kingly to me today. And I think you are looking very noble. And I think you look like a Calvinist preacher. Sure, and you look like a Catholic preacher. Oh, you want to be a Catholic preacher? That's good. You can be a Lutheran preacher, don't worry. You can be a Greek Orthodox preacher, thank you so much. And then congratulations, you can be Francis David. Okay, and then I need my other folks here to be the people of Hungary. So Hungary is a country in Europe, so just try to look like the people of Hungary somehow. I don't really know. Okay, there we go. You're hungry? It is similar, not quite the same, but that might be many of us. We're the people of Hungary. Okay, so here we go. If I can have you all sit. Now, here's what we're going to do. No, wait. If I gave you a piece of paper, come up over with me, because I'm going to have you come and share that at the microphone. Yes, exactly. And I'm going to point to you when it's your turn, okay? And you're going to do just a line, and then when you come to a space, stop. Because then that's another line, and I'll tell you to do it a different time. Does that make sense? I'm looking especially at King John. We've got it. Yeah, we're on it. Okay. Okay, well, now if I've got it together, we're fine. A play about King John Sigismund, the only Unitarian king. Our story takes place in the mid-1500s in the country of Hungary.
I'm Queen Isabella of Hungary. I've just had a baby. My husband, King John, he's always fighting. Hungary is such a sad place to live right now. Everyone is fighting. My husband fights with kings from other countries. Groups of people within Hungary are fighting with other groups of people. A lot of the warring is about religion. I wish King John would stop fighting and come home to see our baby. I wish people would talk about their differences instead of trying to kill each other over them.
Unfortunately, King John died just 2 weeks after the baby was born. He never saw his son. Little baby Prince John Sigismund became the new king of Hungary. Noble?
All hail King John Sigismund of Hungary.
Excellent. Well, King John Sigismund was obviously way too young to rule a country. Kings from other countries took most of Hungary away from King John Sigismund and kept it for themselves.
I'm taking my baby to live in a small corner of the kingdom called Transylvania. I will teach him to be a wise ruler, and I will help him put an end to all of this fighting.
While the young king was growing up, the wars continued. In Transylvania, the followers of different religions kept fighting with each other. Queen Isabella died when John Sigismund was 19 years old. It was now all up to him to try to stop the wars.
What should we do? How can we stop the fighting?
One king, one country, one religion. Just as they do in France and Spain, we must choose one religion for Transylvania. Everyone will have to follow it, and then we will have no more fighting.
I don't know. You know, my dear mother taught me that people should try to solve their differences by talking. I wonder, what if I invite people from different religions to my court to talk together?
And that is just what King John Sigismund did. He invited a number of preachers to his court for a conversation about religion. Where's the Calvinist? Oh, come here. Yeah.
I am a Calvinist preacher.
Excellent. Yes, Catholic. Catholic. Who's Catholic? Is that you? No. Yes. Come here. You don't want to? Okay, no problem. Here, I can do it. I am a Catholic preacher. Lutheran.
I am the Lutheran teacher.
Yes. Yeah. Greek or come here.
I am a Greek Orthodox preacher.
And then there was a preacher who wasn't quite like the others. His name was Francis David.
I am a Christian who believes God is one, not three, since I think God is a unity, not Trinity, but some call me a Unitarian.
Of course, preachers are great talkers. Okay, all my preachers try to talk to each other. Yes, that's really, the Greek Orthodox is into it. I love it. They talked on and on and on for days. Sometimes they argued, but they didn't fight. King John.
Wow, I'm really impressed with Francis David, the Unitarian. He makes a lot of sense to me. I think I'm going to become a Unitarian too.
I say, one king, one country, one religion.
I say we need not think alike to love alike.
Say it again. Come say it again.
One king, one country, one religion.
Just say it again. I know. I cut it too early. Just pretend like I did
I
it
say
right. Just
we
say it
need
again.
to think alike to love alike.
Okay, King John.
Well, I could do what the nobles suggest and make everyone in Transylvania become Unitarian, like Francis David and me. But one of the things I like best about Francis David is that he says we don't need to think alike.
King John Sigismund thought hard about what to do. He was still just a young man, and he had a big decision to make. Okay, people of Hungary, should he demand that everyone practice the religion that he had chosen for his own, or should he let everyone choose for themselves? Everyone choose for themselves. I agree. Therefore,
King John.
I hereby issue an edict of religious toleration. I proclaim that every person can follow the religion of their own choosing.
Yay!
No one shall be reviled for their religion by anyone else. Francis David, I invite you to remain here to be my court preacher.
hurrah! King John, well, don't hold your applause because King John Sigismund died at age 31, unfortunately. After his death, Unitarians were not always tolerated. Francis David was eventually imprisoned for his ideas. But because of King John Sigismund and Francis David, Unitarianism took hold in Transylvania, where it remains strong today. Unitarianism began with the beliefs about the unity of God and also came to stand for religious freedom and tolerance. Now we can cheer.
Now we can
Yay! Great job. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all of our preachers and kings and nobles and
nobles
also
and-
the Queen.
and thank you.
And Jen will now sing our children and their teachers off to their classes. I invite you to join her.
Peace to you on your way. May you grow in love each day.
In our 9:15 wisdom lesson, Jen actually had to play 3 roles in that play. We had a number of children who wanted to participate, but a smaller number of them who read at that point, a younger crowd. So yes, thank you very much, Jen, for that star turn, and of course, Queen Isabella. Just as we share together in laughter and in joy, we also come together with all that our hearts hold on Sunday morning, with grief or worry for the world and ourselves, with sorrow. I invite you in this time to settle into our space, to center down, and to join me in the spirit of meditation. You might like to close your eyes if that is comfortable to you, or soften your gaze. Settle your body as comfortable as it can be today. Take a breath and notice your own breathing as you let it out. Notice the breathing of others around you and with you, reminding you you are not alone. Spirit of life and love, God of many names and beyond our naming, today we hear stories of tolerance and freedom, old stories that led to something new. May we be worthy of these stories today. May we look for the stories in our own time, the stories that invite us to love wider and bigger, to reach out and across, to love alike. Spirit of life and love, be with us and with our tender hearts as we carry our sadness and joy, our worry and grief, the allness of what it is to be human. May we remember, breath by breath, that we are not alone. May it be so. Amen.
Fuente de amor, bella
Ours is a community that gives. We give of our time, our talent, and our treasure. The offering that we take every Sunday helps the congregation, but it also moves back into the world. As we share the plate, 70% of our offering in this month will support the UUCA Teen Youth Group. They're planning for a service trip next year. They're developing their own social justice projects, and they're trying to figure out ways to make our world a better place. When you give today, you may give cash, you may give checks and write "Share the Plate" on the memo line. You can go to the website and hit the donate button or use the QR code. What matters most is simply that you give. Will the ushers please collect an offering? We are blessed with amazing music here at UUCA. Please join me in the words to bless our offering. We bless and receive these gifts, opening our hearts to true generosity. Your words are in the order of service. Let us be grateful when we give, be it time, talent, or treasure. Let us be grateful for our needs and the experience of vulnerability. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with this congregation. Amen. Thank you.
Rev CTC, before you begin the reading, I just want to note that our ushers, in addition to welcoming you and taking the offering, are also retrieving lost things. So someone left a phone at the welcome desk, and if this is your phone, I guess you can have it. Surely I'm supposed to double check, but
Over there?
yes, it's someone's
wait.
phone. There we go.
There it is.
We'll just get that phone right back to you. Wonderful. Lovely. Thank you.
Lovely.
And
Such efficiency.
proceed.
And proceed.
And proceed with worship. Thank you. All that is lost shall be found.
Shall be found. Most days.
Amen.
This morning's reading was selected by Reverend Amanda particularly to go with the sermon she's going to deliver. It's called It Matters What We Believe. It matters what we believe. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive, and they lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating saved from unsaved and friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds within the world community, where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders. They shut off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are more like opening gateways. They create wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs will weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence. They enrich our feelings of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. But other beliefs are pliable, like a young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. You see, it matters what we believe.
Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love.
Thank you so much, Jen, for that beautiful piece. This is sort of a not quite a hymn. It's actually found in the back of our gray hymnal among the chants and doxologies and shorter pieces. The words come from Theodore Parker, the 19th century Unitarian minister. There are a lot of the Unitarian Universalist hymns from that gray hymnal that I grew up with, that I remember from my childhood, ones that I could sing without even looking at the words. The Rev CTC will tell you sometimes I think I can sing them without looking at the words, and then she has to maybe, no comment.
No comment.
Thanks for that. Yeah, no comment. But there are not a lot of readings that I remember from my childhood. The hymnal has at the back also a series of readings from Unitarian Universalists and from many other sources, including wisdom texts. But the reading that Rev CTC shared with us this morning is an exception to that, a reading that I remember hearing as a child and that stayed with me, that said over and over again in some essential way what Unitarian Universalism is, at least what it means to me. That reading is by Sophia Lyon-Fahs, who was a 20th century, kind of mid-20th century religious educator. Sophia Lyon-Fahs started out within other Christian movements outside of Unitarian Universalism, teaching and leading the Sunday school at Riverside Church, and then becoming a faculty member, in fact, one of the first female faculty members at Union Theological Seminary in New York City. She then became the editor of Parents magazine, and then finally in 1945, she joined a Unitarian congregation for the first time, and in 1959 was ordained by our neighbors, Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Bethesda, Maryland, as the first female professor to then become a Unitarian minister. Sophia Lyon-Fahs worked for the American Unitarian Association nationally, creating curriculum, and really led what can be understood as a revolution within our religious education in Unitarian Universalism. She authored or co-authored more than 40 books and more articles. She retired at the age of 88, which is a little later than I hoped to retire, but good for her. I hope it was good for her, and died at the age of 101, so she still had a long retirement, folks, leaving behind, as Wikipedia tells us, a legacy of religious and educational progressivism. Indeed. Sometimes I think that people don't actually recognize what a revolution, by people I mean us, Unitarian Universalists, don't recognize ourselves what a revolution Unitarian Universalist religious education, Unitarian Universalist Sunday school is. And Sophia Lyon-Fahs was a huge part of that revolution in its early years. To have a religious education experience that is not about indoctrination, not even about teaching in the most traditional sense, as in I know the things and I'm going to tell you the things, but rather about exploration, about questions, about self-discovery, about engagement with the world. That is truly a revolutionary act. Now, pendulums swing back and forth, and there's always a risk of going too far. My childhood Sunday school, growing up in the late 80s and 90s, was heavy on children creating the curriculum for themselves and kind of light on anything related to a Bible story, which it turns out means that you then miss a lot of the underpinnings of, say, Western literature. I am proud of our Sunday school here at UUCA, which I think offers a beautiful balance of these things while really holding on to the core principle of exploration, of questioning, of wondering for ourselves. Now, although Sophia Lyon-Fahs could have been seen as a revolutionary in the 1940s and 50s and 60s when she was working, somehow, this kind of religious education, this kind of religious thinking, is still revolutionary today. Because we continue to see in this country, and perhaps right now we even increasingly see, the way that beliefs can be walled gardens. Beliefs that try to separate us from each other. Beliefs that tell us that there is one way of being right and that another way of being is wrong. And we see over and over Americans seeking to make their own walled garden beliefs apply not just to them but to everyone else through laws that limit or ban reproductive health care, that limit or ban health care and freedom of movement for queer and trans people, for laws that limit or ban the studying of the real history of race and racism in the United States. We need to just open a newspaper these days or scroll down our feed to have a sense of what walled garden beliefs can do. So how do we, as Unitarian Universalists, understand that? How do we respond? And what do we have to learn about ourselves and our own beliefs? David French wrote an op-ed article recently for the New York Times in which he explores the concept of fundamentalism. He writes, "The true distinction between fundamentalism and mainstream beliefs isn't what fundamentalists believe, but how fundamentalists believe." He goes on to quote, "As Richard Land, a former president of the Southern Baptist Convention's Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission, once told me, fundamentalism is far more a psychology than a theology. That's why, for example, says French, you can have competing Christian fundamentalisms, competing Muslim fundamentalisms, and secular movements that possess fundamentalist characteristics." Now, French goes on to describe 3 key traits of fundamentalism: certainty, ferocity, and solidarity. And it's the idea of certainty that I want to explore today as we consider the differences between fundamentalism and what might be termed expansiveness in religious life, questioning, holding our truths lightly. Now, I want to offer a note that many of us, when we think about fundamentalism, particularly within the U.S. context, we are thinking about Christian fundamentalism. That is a tradition that began in the late 19th and early 20th century in response to liberalism within Christianity. They mean us, among other Christian, at that time, traditions. Christian fundamentalism in the U.S. has gone through several eras since then, and although religious engagement in America in general has declined significantly in recent decades, Christian fundamentalism appears to continue to grow. But remember that fundamentalism can arise anywhere, not just within Christianity. Fundamentalist versions of other religious movements, in fact, perhaps almost every religious movement, certainly exist around the world and here in the United States. Before coming to UUCA, I served 12 years at an explicitly humanist congregation where we worked hard to be the not fundamentalist humanists and atheists. And let me tell you that there are strains of fundamentalism within atheism. Indeed, in recent years, those strains, just like those within Christian fundamentalism, became wrapped up in an unholy alliance with white supremacy and white nationalism. Now, I think sometimes it is easy to understand how a Unitarian Universalist approach to truth and belief, that expansiveness that holds truth lightly, can apply to spiritual or religious experiences within our movement. I mean, after all, just look at the stole, right? We teach our children in 7th grade through our Neighboring Faiths program, where they learn about different religious traditions and then go and visit mosques and synagogues and churches, understanding the connections between those traditions and our own, as well as the differences. We draw from many sources of wisdom on Sunday morning. In fact, often I think that is one of the things most distinct about Unitarian Universalism, that we do not hold one book or set of scripture as particularly sacred, but rather pull from many sources, from poetry, from wisdom traditions, from different religions throughout the world. And we have in our history that old metaphor of the cathedral windows, each of us in front of our own window, seeing the light come through in a particular pattern, a particular swirl of colors, while our neighbor next to us, looking through another window, sees it a different way. But together we know that the light outside is one light shining in, no matter our own view. So that perhaps is the easy part. Many sources of wisdom, we've got it. Many kinds of truth, sure. Many experiences of the divine, no problem. Many names for God, definitely. But what about, within our own tradition, other kinds of truth or understanding? Because to imagine that Unitarian Universalism has always been able to bring these beautiful and expansive beliefs into action, the beliefs that Sophia Lyon-Foss talked about in her reading, is to miss large chunks of our history. As we talked about back in October, when we examined some of the history of anti-racism efforts and of racism within the Unitarian Universalist movement, knowing our history is important. For instance, that beautiful piece that Jen sang with these inspiring words from Theodore Parker, the Unitarian minister. Parker was an abolitionist, deeply involved in the movement to end slavery. He was one of the Secret Six who funded John Brown's raid, 3 of whom I think were Unitarians. That is true. And Parker also held white supremacist views, unable to understand that the enslaved people he was seeking to help free were worthy not just of freedom, but also of dignity. That is also true. The fundamentalism of white as standard, the walled garden of that belief, had its grips on Theodore Parker. Our expansive beliefs sometimes hit their own walls. So how do we as a movement live into our promise of expansiveness, into Sophia Lyon-Foss's dream of religious exploration, of learning and connecting, rather than of certainty? Despite our mixed history and our mixed present, I do think we as a movement are seeking to do this within our anti-racism and anti-oppression work. I often think about the Widening the Circle of Concern report, which was created several years ago by the Unitarian Universalists Association's Commission on Institutional Change. That report, which I recommend to you, it's available online both in written form and as an audio so that it's accessible to folks. That report offers a comprehensive look over several years of study and over 80 hours of documented conversations looking at the experience of BIPOC Unitarian Universalists, that's Black, Indigenous, people of color, and systemic racism within the UUA, both nationally and in congregations. For those of us who are white Unitarian Universalists, like me, the report offers the opportunity to learn through lived experience and story, creating avatars that compiled the experience of BIPOC Unitarian Universalist members and religious professionals from across the continent. Part of how we embrace expansiveness, how we move past our own walls, is to continue to learn, especially about experiences and identities different than our own. And any one of us is invited, in fact, I would say required as Unitarian Universalists, to engage in this kind of learning, to be forever expanding the garden of our belief, wherever we find those walls to be. What, though, I wonder, still remains fundamentalist in you? Ironically, I sometimes see this kind of fundamentalism within Unitarian Universalists in our approach to other religious traditions. We are plenty happy to be expansive about belief within our own movement, but then we imagine that other religious traditions are all narrow-minded and somehow homogenous. So even as we talk about fundamentalism in American society, I want to make sure that you recall how it was described earlier as not a religious impulse, but a psychology that can find root in religions and in secular movements as well. And I want to offer a caution. Do not fall into the walled garden trap of imagining that all Christians or all Muslims or all Jews or all anything are the same within themselves. Do not even fall into the particularly Unitarian Universalist trap of imagining that the religion of your own childhood, which you left, is the same as when you left it. Instead, engage in the expansiveness that our 7th graders do, learning about different traditions and learning about the differences within them as well. Assuming nothing, bringing no fundamentalism of anti-Christian belief with you. Instead, seeking to build bridges, to tear down walls both within our own hearts and outside them in the America we inhabit. Because we know that not only is fundamentalism dangerous, we might just remember yesterday's anniversary to know that, but it is also ultimately unstable. David French completes his piece by writing that the keys to fundamentalist success are also the source of its ultimate failure. Certainty, he writes, which gives so much purpose, ultimately struggles in the face of complex realities. And friends, that complex reality, the complexity of being human ourselves and human with each other, that is what Unitarian Universalism tries to hold imperfectly, through failure and attempt over and over again. Now, if it is true that we as Unitarian Universalists seek to avoid certainty, seek to avoid walled gardens, what do we hold, not as fundamentalist, but as fundamental, as core within our values? This month, we explore the concept of liberating love. And for some months now, we have been talking about the idea that at the center of Unitarian Universalism is love. Love that reminds us of the worth of every person, love that tells us that we are all connected to each other. At the end of January, we'll be exploring this idea a little more, looking at the ways that Unitarian Universalism is creating new forms of liberating love together, what it means ourselves to be creators in a creative religious tradition. For now, as the new year begins, I invite you to look around your gardens of thought, your gardens of meaning, and every time you see a wall, to take a breath and imagine instead an expanse of possibility, an expanse of connection, an expanse of love. I invite you now to rise in body and in spirit for our closing hymn, number 347, 140, because we already sang 347, so let's not do it again. Number 140, Hail the Glorious Golden City.
Hail the glorious golden city,
Please join me in the words to extinguish our chalice. They're in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light and warmth it represents. These we carry with us and bring our sparks of love to the world.
Friends, may those sparks expand far beyond any walls into greater and greater circles of connection, of possibility, and of love. May it be so. Amen.